Hey, it's John and Mike, brew-use.com. We're standing amongst lots of stainless steel pots and converted kegs. And today we're drinking beer. This is the Redemption Best Bitter.
Yes.
We're calling it the Redemption Best Bitter.
Take two.
Yes. In the experience of any home brewer, you always have that second beer that you brew. You brewed it once, it didn't come out all that great. And you brew it a second time to redeem yourself. So this is a Redemption Best Bitter. You may have seen our video earlier this year where Mike brewed this beer, and it became more of a class on another common beer off flavor. It was quite a phenolic beer, which was not what he was intending to bring, especially in a English style. It shouldn't have those types of flavors in it. So that was kind of the video where we talked about that particular off flavor, but then it became almost a quest for Mike to try to figure out, or at least, well, maybe not figure out what happened, but at least
I know what happened.
Okay.
Can I fix it?
Can you fix it? And I think that's what is the product of this beer. Well, the product of this video is like, he's going to take us through the steps of how he's fixed it, but I'm going to let him talk about the recipe because this is in front of me and I need to taste it right now.
So, best bitter. This is a best bitter. I love bitters, English bitter beers. So the quick recipe, this is a recap from last time, so I won't go into a lot of depth, but this is 10 pounds or 82% of Golden Promise, and it's 9 pounds of Baird's Karastan malt, which is in a 5.5 something gallon batch, it's like 1 pound, so that's like 9%, and then it's 1 pound or 9% again of torrefied wheat, just to get some wheat action in there to help with head retention and stuff like that. So that's the basic beer. The original recipe, I actually had a little bit of Carafa Special 2 to color adjust to get a little bit darker. But despite the fact that that beer didn't taste good, you can at least learn from the color and go, it was a little bit darker than I wanted it to be, so I took the Carafa out of that. And the color of this is right where I want it to be. This beer is heavy on the gypsum to try to get some sulfate into it. The hops, it's half an ounce of Admiral hops, which are 13% alpha acid, just a UK bittering hop. And then with like 10 minutes to go, it's 2 ounces of EKG. And I fermented this sucker, I mashed it at 154, no big deal. And then I fermented it again with 1098 Y yeast, which is British ale. Great yeast. So there we go. So what do you get?
Well, no phenols.
No phenols.
It's quite in line with what I was expecting. Nice estery profile, nice, cleanish finish.
Yeah.
Nice, caramel background with the malts.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
As it warms up too, and it's tough to warm stuff up here in the cool garage, but as I've been sampling it, trying to, in the process of carbonating it, I mean, if ever there's like a way to describe biscuit malt, like a biscuit flavor in beers, it's this. I mean, that Karastan and the combination with the Golden Promise, it's really a big punch in the face biscuit flavor. Some people have asked, what is really meant by biscuit flavor? And I actually thought this was interesting. I can't remember if I saw it in some of our comments, but I saw it somewhere. Someone was asking, what is meant when brewers say biscuit flavor? Do they actually mean, like, American brewers say biscuit flavor, but they're wondering, in the UK, a biscuit is like a cookie, right? And is that what they mean? Like a sugar cookie, what we would call a sugar cookie? To me, it's biscuits, like flour, baking soda, right? Some sort of fat source, a biscuit. But it's the brown outer layer of a biscuit is what you get on this. It's like that floury, really grainy type of punch of flavor. So that's what
different than
to
toast,
me.
right?
Yeah, different than toast, right? Yeah, it doesn't have the edges that like toast does, but it's just a lot of biscuit.
Yeah,
so
true. Yeah,
and that's, to me, that's one of the things with the ester profile of the yeast. That's what makes it English pale ale for sure. So,
and it's clean. There's no
super clean.
There's no off flavor. So, what did you do? How did you redeem yourself?
So this is my DEFCON 4 level, like how to. So I knew I had picked this up in the fermenter, because when I transferred out of the fermenter in the kegging process, that's when I noticed the taste, and I was like, and I just kept it going for the sake of the previous video. But so this is what I did. So I assumed it was in the fermenter. which was a glass fermenter, which, you know, is good and bad because it was a carboy, so you got a narrow opening. So what I do is I go in with like a 5 to 10% bleach solution in the carboy, fairly warm, right up to the top. Let that sit. In this case, I let it sit for like 3 or 4 hours because it's just part of a process on a Saturday, but you can let it sit overnight too. Then I dump that out, I rinse it really well. Then it's a really hot soak in PBW for a cleaning step, and I do that twice. You know, like we're really attacking the fermenter, right? But I'm lazy, so I'm not actually trying to figure out how to get a brush in there and scrub it, whatever, because you don't know where in there the contaminant is stuck. It's just that there's something in there. So I cleaned it really well. At the same time too, I'm soaking a carboy cap, like the stopper and airlocks in a side tray with hot PBW. And then I soak it in, I change sanitizer, right? So I usually use Star San all the time. And when I do a quick sanitization of something, I might only put a gallon of sanitizer in it, and I usually rock it around while I'm chilling to sanitize. But in this case, full fill with iodophor, just to change it up, because I figure if there was a contaminant in there, maybe it escaped the Star San somehow. So every once in a while in your brewery, you want to change your sanitizer, just because it keeps, if there's any chance that a microbe is going to become resistant, or you've picked up a microbe that's resistant, you're never going to get there using the same thing. Now, of course, that first step of bleaching is probably like the ultimate nuclear attack on your equipment. Doing that on glass is an easy way to go. Most plastics can hold up to it. I'd be really leery of putting too strong a bleach solution in stainless steel for too long, because it can start to pit the stainless steel. But rinsing it a few times with a bleach solution would be okay. Just don't let it sit like I let the glass sit. Yeah, and then just good hard rinse. And I considered it prepared. Then on brew day, it got a quick rinse and a fresh sanitation with Star San. Yeah. And then the beer went in, fermented, boom, and it's clean, and it's good. So I rescued the fermenter as well as being able to make a new beer that tastes good.
Very good.
So.
Very good. Yeah. And you weren't trying to scrub it, so it was all a lot of soaking.
Yeah, a lot of soaking. A lot of soaking. And that's why I like a lot of those no rinse, or at least like a PBW type wash solution. Another trick too is you can put like a gallon of, in a carboy, like a gallon of wash solution, whatever your favorite wash solution is, in there. And then I'll take a couple paper towels or a really thin rag that you can get into the hole and still get it out once it's wet. You can put that in there, and if you hold, you can like throw this thing around and get the paper towels to, you know, sort of semi-scrub, just to get a little mechanical action, especially if you see that there's a krausen ring and it's not coming out with the soak. Usually 24-hour soak in PBW will get rid of a krausen ring. But if it's not, you can get something in there and just, you know, crank it around upside down and swirl it, and you can get that thing to centripetally rub the walls without being too abrasive with like a carboy brush or like just the wire part of the brush. You can scratch things up pretty good. So, which is why most of the time I've transferred my life over to using stainless steel buckets, because it's a big opening and I can clean it with, you know, rags. So, but anyway, boom, that's how I knock out an infection in the equipment. And any plastic gear that would have touched it, I ditch that. Like tubing, that stuff's gone. It's not even, you can't even save it. It's not worth trying to save it. So that stuff goes.
And it's cheap enough to replace too.
Absolutely. I mean, what does a 4-foot piece of tubing cost you? Like not even $4, right? So.
Not even that much. There you go. So not only did you rescue the carboy, but you're also redeemed
the beer. Redeem myself, yeah.
And the beer.
And I don't know where that contamination came from, but it happens. It happens.
Happen. Yeah.
So here we are with good beer.
Here we are. So cheers to that for sure. So that is that video. I'm glad that you had some hot tips. Emphasis on the hot, because we got to use hot water.
Hot water.
Doing all that stuff. But you know, if you're a big fan of the Brew Dudes YouTube channel and you've given us the thumbs up on videos and you've subscribed to our channel, if you haven't, go right ahead. We typically do this once a week, but coming up in the month of December, more programming.
More programming.
We're gonna try to do 2 videos a week for the month of December 2020. Let's really celebrate this wonderful year with a big bang.
We all deserve it. We all deserve it.
We all deserve it. We need to just do,
Yes.
instead of 4 videos.
Yeah, and come to find out there's like 5 weeks in December, right? So we picked the wrong month to go with double programming, but
We didn't think of that. Yeah, so be on the lookout. We'll be doing 2 videos. I guess we'll be doing Tuesdays and Thursdays.
fun stuff, serious stuff, all kinds of stuff.
Just lots of stuff. We've actually planned it out. So
Yeah.
be on the lookout for that twice a week in the month of December 2020. For John and Mike, brew-dudes.com, brew on.
Cheers.